A lot of people don't feel at home in the world. They feel like strangers, like they don't belong anywhere. And this is sad because no one has to feel this way. Everyone can feel at home in the world. No matter who you are, you can feel like you belong somewhere. How is this possible? Well, the answer is that the way you feel at home in the world is to make a home. And the way you make a home is by getting married and starting a family. This idea comes from two books by Søren Kierkegaard, Either Or and Stages on Life's Way. One thing that makes Kierkegaard unique as a philosopher is that he often wrote from different perspectives. He used different characters to express different points of view. He tried to show how different perspectives lead to different kinds of lives. In Either Or and Stages on Life's Way, he uses the character of Judge William to argue that taking responsibility and getting married are what lead to a truly happy, meaningful life. In Stages on Life's Way, Judge William argues that marriage is the purpose of all human beings. Marriage I regard then as the highest telos of individual life. It is the highest telos in such a way that anyone who evades it crosses out the whole of earthly life in one single stroke. Saying that marriage is our highest telos is really just a philosophical way of saying that it fulfills our nature as human beings. It fulfills both our needs and our capabilities. As human beings, we have certain needs, biologically and psychologically. For example, we need both physical intimacy and relationships. And marriage fulfills both of these needs by creating a relationship in which you can regularly satisfy your biological needs. And while it is true that you can find physical intimacy and relationships outside of marriage, it's also true that those relationships come and go. The one thing that marriage gives you is a life partner. And a life partner provides us with the psychological stability that we need in a relationship. It gives you someone who is always there for you, who always accepts you for who you are, yet challenges you and spurs you on to be a better person. Marriage, in a sense, fulfills your human needs by giving you someone who is committed to you. And it fulfills your human potential by giving you someone you can commit to. Marriage is, by definition, a commitment. It's the point where two people come out and explicitly commit to each other for life. They decide that they are going to take their two lives and build one life. They decide that they are going to be faithful to each other. They resolve that they will never leave one another. You promise to be with that person, not just for a month or a year, but your whole life. The commitment is the crucial thing. Whether or not you get a marriage license, sign a contract, or have a ceremony, all of which are important in their own way, it's the commitment that makes two unrelated people into a family. All of those other things merely enshrine your commitment and invite the community around you to both celebrate that determination, recognize it, and hold you accountable to it. What's interesting about human beings, as persons, as subjects, as conscious individuals, is that we can actually feel it when someone commits to us or doesn't commit to us. At least, that's what Kierkegaard argued. An inwardness of conviction, a resoluteness of choice, give the voice itself an expressiveness, a trustworthiness that to the person involved is more convincing and more satisfying than the result of the deliberation of fathers and friends. You can feel when a person is truly committed to you, just by the way they talk to you. This is because all of these words, commit, decide, resolve, promise, determine, don't merely describe an action. They describe a change that transforms an entire person, both inside and outside. It changes the way you interact with people, how you talk to them. It's no exaggeration to say that marriage changes a person. You are a different person before and after making a life commitment. It goes without saying that once you commit to a person, you spend a lot of time in close proximity with them. Not only do you get to know them over a long period of time, but an idiosyncratic relationship begins to develop between you. You begin to work your way into each other's hearts and minds. This is why Judge William says that every family conceals a life of its own. Think of family life and its beauty, founded on a deep and intimate community in such a way that what joins it all together is still mysteriously hidden, the one relationship ingeniously entwined with the other, so that one has only an intimation of the coherence. Families cohere with one another. They bond and give us a groove in which to fit. And this sense of being joined to a group is what makes you feel like you belong somewhere in the world. There's a niche somewhere that matches your shape. There's a mysterious bond between you and this other person or group of people you call family. And this mysterious bond is the reason why family can be both the most important relationship in your life and also the most devastating relationship. Nothing has more power over us than family. Marriage demands a lot from us. In a sense, it demands everything. Marriage is burdensome. It means you are responsible for loving someone else, for compromising, for caring for someone else, for helping someone else. It means working to support children. It means a lot more stress. In fact, Judge William admits, marriage is a torment. Yet, it invites people to attempt it anyway. In other words, marriage is miserable, yet it's so important that it's worth getting married, even if you know it's going to be hard, even if it means risking everything. A married man risks every day, and every day the sword of duty hangs over his head. The ledger of responsibility is never closed. But he does not take the risk for nothing. No, like for like. He risks everything for everything. And if because of its responsibility marriage is an epic, then because of its happiness, it certainly is also an idyll. In the end, to be a married man is the most beautiful and meaningful task, because responsibility is the only source of true happiness. Only responsibility gives a blessing and true joy. When one has a home, then one has responsibility. And in itself, this responsibility gives security and joy. Having a family is one of the deepest kinds of responsibilities we are capable of assuming. Having a spouse, and especially children, means that there are people in the world who depend on you. Even in the case of children, who depend on you for survival, for learning, and obtaining a self-identity. This is burdensome. It's a big responsibility, but it also means that you are needed. You become essential to someone. You are important. Your existence is essential. You are pulled into the world by a force more powerful than gravity and grounded with a purpose, the purpose of cultivating life itself. Thus, family is the greatest source of meaning we are capable of. And because you are needed, family makes you feel like you belong here, because you do belong here. Are there legitimate reasons not to get married? Sure. Kierkegaard himself never married. But keep in mind that for Kierkegaard, such reasons were usually religious in nature, and ultimately, singleness is always the path of suffering, precisely because singleness denies our telos. We can't change our human biological and psychological nature, so to try and go against that nature is to suffer. The question is whether or not you can find something that is worth suffering for. If you want to know more about how healthy relationships contribute to a happy life, then check out this video on friendship.